We are beautifully, melanated.
Welcome to the Beautifully Melanated podcast. I am Kay. I am here tonight with my lovely co-host.
I'm Karen.
And I'm Sarah. So hi guys. I am glad to be back. I wasn't very well last week, but I'm back now. So I was going to do a What in the World tonight. And I have been watching, I'm sure a lot of other people have, a documentary on Netflix called Killer Sally. Quite an interesting documentary. If you haven't seen it, it's about this lady Sally, who was quite a kind of well-known bodybuilder in America. And she married this other very well-known bodybuilder in America. I think it was in the 80s or something. She met and married him. It was her second husband. And she ended up actually murdering him, killing him. And it kind of talks about her life in the bodybuilding industry, his life in the bodybuilding industry. It also touches a little bit about their childhoods. And I found it quite interesting because, for a start, it kind of talks about the reason that they behaved like they behaved. Because initially people said, oh, gosh, you know, Sally's a killer, etc., etc. And basically, Sally, she had this kind of side hustle that she used to go and wrestle men in hotel rooms. And her nickname for this venture was Killer Sally. So when she came to trial, they kind of used that against her in the end, saying that, oh, well, all along she thought she was a killer. So one particular thing that really interested me in this is when Sally was talking, she was talking about female bodybuilders and certain female bodybuilders that she'd met and she knew in the industry that would like push themselves past the steroid point. So obviously, as we all know, lots of men take steroids. Her husband, when he was actually killed, they did some blood work and they found he had 5 different types of steroids in his system at that time, which was pretty full on. Sally also took steroids, but what she was saying is a lot of women that she had come across had actually started injecting testosterone on a regular basis. And she said the testosterone would make their voices would drop, and you know, they would become a lot more masculine. She talked about Adam's apple and stuff. I'm not an expert on testosterone, but it kind of got me thinking that if she was saying that there was men that were attracted to women who were injecting testosterone regularly, it kind of got me thinking that then what about these men? What kind of man would support a woman who actively injects testosterone? I kind of got my head in a spin there. I'm thinking, well, would that be a straight man then? Because if you're injecting testosterone as a woman, and these women were not transitioning, you know, this was not somebody becoming a trans man. This was a woman wanting to remain a woman, but injecting testosterone to become, I guess, more manly figured. So I kind of was trying to understand what partner would encourage that. So yeah, that was my What in the World. And I wanted to get both of Karen and Kay's viewpoints on this because it kind of got my head in a spin. I didn't know what to kind of think about it. I just found it very interesting that a woman would inject this stuff and a partner would encourage it. So yeah, would either of you like to share your views on Killer Sally and the women that inject testosterone regularly? Okay, Kay, would you like to share your views?
No, I think Karen wants to go first. Go on, Karen.
Okay.
Wow, that is bizarre to me anyway. I saw the series advertised on Netflix. I think I was interested initially because somebody murdered someone, didn't they? That caught my eye. But I don't know, Sarah. It's just so odd to me. I don't even know where to go with that. It seems bizarre that, I mean, like you say, there are female bodybuilders, lots of them, no big deal. But then when you start injecting, a male hormone into your body, I don't know. That's just very, very weird to me. I don't know.
I found it bizarre because I would understand if this person was transitioning, but the person is not transitioning. So that person then must be doing it purely to become more manly. And then the partner's encouraging that. So yeah, Kay, what do you think?
I was wondering, because I haven't watched it and it's not my genre, so I probably wouldn't. But how much did she change physically after the testosterone injection? So if she's a bodybuilder, I imagine her quite muscular, maybe flat chested.
Mm-hmm.
What did she look like after the testosterone injections?
She didn't. She showed pictures of people that had done. She said she took steroids, she said, but she never went as far as personally injecting it. But a lot of women that she knew did inject it, and this is what happened to them. So yeah, Sally herself said she didn't, but you never know. But yeah, she was totally flat-chested, and I guess just a serious female bodybuilder.
I had a quick Wikipedia glance while you were talking, and I could see why she was driven to athletics as a way out of the early trauma, the domestic abuse and violence at home. And it probably, if that's her escape, probably didn't know when to stop, because it doesn't read that at any point she then went into therapy for trauma, for the trauma she endured. So maybe that was her way of managing her early experiences, was to work out more, get fitter, get stronger, get as strong as a man. So she could wrestle with men in hotel rooms. Like, that amused me. For $300 an hour.
That's what
I imagine.
She used that money to pay for her husband's steroids. She'd go and pay
for I see.
But his childhood was incredibly difficult as well. And he again grew up, I think, almost wanting to fight his way out of his own childhood. He had a really tough time. But yeah, the thing is, both of them were quite violent to each other within the relationship. They wrestled and fought, and he punched and she kicked. And then it got too much because the domestic violence it always was domestic violence. But I think because they were both wrestling anyway, waters got muddy. I don't know. It's a strange one because they would do this anyway.
Maybe that turned them on. The physical contact, muscle against muscle, strength against strength. Maybe that was part of the attraction.
They like it
between them.
Yeah, they liked it. They showed Sally wrestling a man, and I think somebody else was wrestling man, and it was very. They said it was not sexualized, but it was very much the private area going on near the man's face in a headlock. So to me, that is sexualized.
Yes. There's got to be an element of the erotic in there, surely. And maybe it's the physicality that was attractive, the strength. So maybe he wasn't looking for a curvy, soft, very feminine woman, but maybe her strength was the turn on. So that by the time the steroids got introduced, they were both on the same page.
They were, and they were both also in the Marine Corps. So they were both. They went into the Marine Corps first, then whilst they were in the Marine Corps, they became bodybuilders. That's how they met.
Both of them.
Yep. So
I'm going to go with that. I think that's the only way my head can make sense of. That woman wrestling men for money was a thing with the support of her husband. Yeah, I'm going to go with it's the volatility and the strength that maybe kept them both attracted to each other.
Definitely.
I'm going to say different strokes for different folks. That's what I can say. Whatever makes you happy. Yeah.
That's it. Okay, ladies, back to you guys.
Right. So I thought, as we have come to the end of our series on men's mental health, it might be an idea to spend maybe 10 minutes or so sharing with our listeners and with each other our takeaways from the interviews we've had with Willis, with Amit, with Samir, and with Jeffrey. So all four spoke about their experiences of growing up and what they learned about mental health. And I wondered if there was any top takeaways for you, Cam, Karen, and Sarah. What has it left you with?
The main thing it's left me with, I think, which most of the guys actually talked about that came on the podcast, is, and it kind of surprised me, is the age that men as young boys are kind of told that this is the way to be a man. That's the main thing that stuck with me. And I'm not sure if it was Samir, but it was said that kind of primary school age is the age that boys are taught this. So it kind of made me reflect and think that, okay, so I think most of the men that I have come across in my life that are kind of adult boys, I think it's very hard for them to get out of that predicament unless they realise they're in it. So I think my greatest takeaway is to probably understand that a lot of the time it's not necessarily, let's just say a healthy man, it's not them trying to be difficult. I think it's just the way that they've been brought up. And I've learned kind of to understand that maybe they do want to express themselves more, but I think often they just don't know how to. And in my work with men more recently and boys, the struggle they have to speak, I've never ever seen anything like it. Never. I'm quite new to working with men, but I mean, God, the struggle, I've not seen that struggle with women. I've not seen it the same. It's so different and it's hard. And yeah, I think it's just given me a little bit more empathy for men that struggle. Learning from our guests of where the roots of the struggle start was really useful for me. And hearing from men about men was really useful for me. So yeah, that's my reflection on it.
How about you, Karen?
Yeah. So one of our guests talked about the fact that, as he is a male therapist, he found that working in his community was really helpful because he found that men were more likely to open up to him, perhaps more than they would, say, a white female therapist, for example. And he also talked about the fact that, men tend not to talk to other men about these things. Women are much more likely to talk about how they're feeling and the stresses they're going through and those sorts of things. And how important his work was, just being able to support men. That sort of struck me. The other thing that I thought a lot about was what Jeffrey said last week when he talked about, his upbringing in Jamaica, which would be reflective, I'm sure, of lots of other young men in Jamaica, who have parents who will say things like, you're a boy, you can't cry. You're a boy, you don't, get up. If you've fallen down, get up. You're a boy, you're going to be a man, that kind of thing. And yeah, I hear people say it all the time. And I just think he made such a good point, because if you can't cry and you can't say that something's hurting, or that, you can't talk about how you're feeling, and that starts from such a young age, it's no wonder that, in adulthood, you're likely to have problems. Obviously, not everyone does, but it is likely because you've suppressed so much. Yeah, so those are the two things that struck me, really. But yeah, I just want to say how grateful I am to all our guests who came on and sharing their experiences with us. It was really, really helpful, very insightful.
Thanks, Karen. Thanks, Sarah. I have to agree. The standout for me was also how young boys receive that message that their emotions are to be suppressed in favor of, I don't really know, but if we go Freudian, it's going to be sex and violence. And pretty much we do see that play out in adult relationships. I was really struck by also the parenting, how much patterns have been repeating over the decades. without almost any conscious thinking about, do we want to change this? Or are we just going to keep doing the same things and hope for the best? So, yeah, really struck by how patterns have been repeated in parenting, how we parent boys. And then I got to thinking, well, I wonder what that means for them in relationships. How on earth? I mean, we are divorced women, or separated women, but we've certainly had relationships over the years that haven't worked. And I wonder how much of that is because the men we love and loved were not given an opportunity to be fully human and experience all of their emotions. So to become a healthy partner, father, lover would require getting in touch with their feelings. You have to be in touch with your feelings. But we talked before, ladies, about not seeing our fathers cry, not seeing our partners cry. Yeah, there is something there. And even as we're talking now, I'm just wondering, as a side note, we have mostly focused on heterosexual men. And I wonder what it is like for men, Black men in the gay community or the LGBTQIA plus community. Do they have another layer of let me not feel? If this is the treatment of heterosexual men and that's the norm in air quotes, listeners. Yeah, I feel like we have a lot of work to do, so I'm a little bit fired up to do the let's break down the ignorance. Let's talk about parenting in a healthy way. So yeah, those are my takeaways. I hope listeners you've really benefited, and we would love to hear from you about this. So do send us your letters, your comments, your texts. Let us know what you thought about the series. Now I'm just going to hand back over to Karen to introduce our topic for this week.
Thanks, Kay. So there is a listener who makes prosthetic breasts for survivors of cancer, and she makes wigs for people who've lost their hair through cancer. And she wanted us to talk about women's health, basically. She talked about, going to get checked up or checking herself for lumps in her breasts and things like that. She just wanted to raise awareness, really. And as I was talking to her, I thought, I've never checked myself for lumps. I think I have done in the past. I think there was like this sort of campaign. And off the back of that, I think I checked myself maybe twice, but this is years ago. It's not something I do regularly. And it really got me thinking. I thought, actually, I'm not very good at looking after myself, not in that way. I try to eat well and I go for my walks and I exercise, that sort of stuff. But am I really looking after my health properly? I still haven't been for my checkup. It's so bad. Oh, my goodness. It's been a couple of years now that the nurse has actually sent me like a little reminder to say, you need to come for your MOT. And I still haven't been. How shocking is that? So I'm guilty. I do not look after myself properly the way I should. I do go for my smear. I've done that. And I always go for those. But yeah, I don't check myself for lumps. And I just wondered if either of you do.
I do, because my sister passed away from breast cancer 14 years ago. And there wasn't a history in the family previously, so it was quite left field. And so I do, of necessity, check because a relative that close has died from breast cancer. But before she died, no, wouldn't even have crossed my mind to check, because maybe the arrogance of youth, thought it wouldn't happen to me. I haven't been invited, interestingly, for early screening for breast cancer, even though the history is there. They've told me not before I'm 50. Oh, that's not far off, actually. And then I'll get invited to have my breast traumatized by a mammogram. I will go. I will not delay. But I don't check regularly enough. And we should check every month around our cycle, right? Is that the general idea?
I don't even know. I thought, well, when I spoke to my GP about it. I think it was the nurse prescriber. I thought it was like weekly. You should, when you're having a shower, just check. So it's regular, because then she said you're more likely to notice any changes in your body if you check regularly. You could say, oh, that wasn't there 2 weeks ago, whatever. So I think it's meant to be maybe weekly or every,
Oh,
yeah.
that's a lot. No, I don't check that often.
To be fair, I'd like someone to let me know if I'm wrong, actually. Maybe I need to look that up.
I'm going to Google it, Karen, while you're talking.
Okay, please do, yeah. Yeah, but it certainly should be more frequently than how often I do it. So.
I was right, Karen. It is the best time is 3 to 5 days after your period starts. And do it at the same time every month.
Okay, right. That's helpful to know. Okay.
So monthly, yeah. How about you, Sarah?
When it comes to breast checking, I do it weekly. I do it in the shower, and I think part of the reason I'm hot on it is because when I had my daughter, I had a lump in my breast, and I had to go to hospital and have a what's it called? What's it called? That horrible needle they take a sample. Yeah. What's it
called? Biopsy?
That's it, a biopsy.
Is it a biopsy? Or a biopsy?
Yeah, because when I had her, I had all sorts of, is it mastitis? And your breasts are really sore and gorged with milk.
Oh, yeah.
So that was so painful. And I had problems breastfeeding her. And then after that, I think I just had issues, with the breasts were just lumpy, etc., etc. And I had to have a biopsy, remember, and it was so bloody painful. But after that, I got the all clear, and it was something to do with breastfeeding or a cyst or the milk or something. And after that, I always check my breasts. My mother actually is a survivor of breast cancer, a recent survivor of it. And I was just saying, to Karen before, I've kind of grown up in a family where people do check themselves regularly. But I wasn't told to check myself. I wasn't told. Well, I will tell my daughter about checking breasts, but I was never told to check myself. It's just something I've done. When it comes to smear tests, I hate smear tests, honestly. So I will sometimes, leave it for like a month, then I'll always do it. I'll always get it done. Whereas if I'm checking breasts, it's like, yeah, that's cool. Let me just check that. It's no problem. But smear tests, I think I've built it up in my head because I've always had such a bad experience with it. I've never had a good experience with smear tests. Never. It's always been horrible, traumatizing, and horrible. It's horrible. So
to be fair, I don't know anyone who likes a smear test. I think liking a smear test would be really, really, it's just
that would be pink.
That would be
pink if you like it.
Yeah, it's like I think it's. I remember that when I first went for one, they're like, think of it as a gentleman's penis. I'm like, there's nothing like that.
No.
Oh my
it's
gosh,
not like that. That's what the nurse said, and then they called me the wrong name. They called me Sally. I was like, I'm called Sarah. I'm already traumatized by this.
Sorry, Sarah, that is horrific.
That's awful.
Think of it as having sex. No, we can't. No. It's metal. It's got lube on it, and you crank it open and scrape my cervix.
Exactly.
No.
You know what? This is quite
That's
disturbing.
What she said. Yeah, think of it as a gentleman's penis. But it's not at all like that, though. It's nothing, So I don't know. I've just had a bad experience with it. Does it stop me going? No, it doesn't. But sometimes I might be a bit late for the smear, as in like I'm a month late to do it. But that's about it. Yeah, that's my experience of it.
I do my smears quite regularly. No, I don't enjoy them, and I don't have a kink for them. But I get anxious about gynecological cancers because we know ovarian, quite the killer, and cervical. By the time you get discovered, you're pretty far down the road with the disease. So it is my anxiety that makes me go, because I do want to know, are there any abnormalities? I don't want to hear I have stage 4 cancer from nothing. So I would go for those, even though they're deeply unpleasant and invasive.
I actually know a lady that has never, ever, ever had a smear. she had a situation where she was assaulted, and so now she can't bear to go. So I just feel like I wish there was another way. I think most women feel like this, for someone to be tested without it being like that. Or couldn't we do a home testing kit? Couldn't you do it yourself? I think we'd been, rather than this stranger on a time limit with a 5-minute slot rushing to do something so delicate. I don't know. There must be another way, surely.
I think it depends on who you have. So the nurse
does.
I saw recently was really, really good. It's unpleasant, right? We know that. But I'm of the opinion that I'd rather know early on if there was anything so that they could treat it, right? For me, that's really, really important. The fact that somebody's made it sexualized, I think is absolutely abhorrent. I think that's awful. It's not. It should be very, very clinical, very matter of fact. It's for your health. And my nurse, like I said, was brilliant. She was really, really good. We just chatted. Before I knew it was over. And that's how it's supposed to be.
It's like blood, isn't it, though? It's like giving blood when you're pregnant. Some people, when you first find out you're pregnant, you start having the blood tests. To begin with, it's like, and then when you're like 9 months pregnant, you just put your arm out because so many people have taken blood. And it's about the phlebotomist, isn't it? You have some people that you never even know they're taking blood. And there's some people they can't find a vein and they keep doing it and it's horrible.
Yeah.
So I think it's like the nurse. I've had one nurse that was much better and she didn't make me feel rushed and she called me my right name and didn't say it was, like a gentleman's penis. She just, yeah. So, yeah, it depends on the person.
I think, Sarah, you raise a really important point. Women who have been sexually assaulted could be re-traumatized by this exam.
Yeah.
And I don't know if the nurses are trained or are sensitive in performing the exam without re-traumatizing someone. I would love to hear from a nurse who does this for a living, actually. If we could hear your experiences around training about how to look after women who've experienced sexual violence, but also need to have their screening done. Is there any specific, what's the word I'm looking for, dispensation, or is there a way to do it differently so that they're not an excluded group? I'd love to hear from a nurse out there.
Definitely. I think when I first went for my nightmare smear, that I couldn't, she told me, okay, you've got to come back. We can't do this, can't do that. And I was so anxious. She said, right, you need to go and see the doctor and get some kind of anxiety tablet or something just for this smear. So I went to the doctor and they gave me something like diazepam. Oh my God. And it was so strong what the doctor gave me. I couldn't even get out of my car. And then when I went back to him and and I said to him, what you gave me was so strong. And he's like, oh, couldn't you handle it? I thought this whole experience has been absolutely horrific. From like,
what do you mean, couldn't you handle it?
Smirking at me, laughing at me. I just thought, this is such a bad... I left that surgery after such a bad experience.
Oh, God.
It's just awful from this lady, what she said to me, calling me Sally and saying about gentleman's penis, going to the doctor, then him telling me that and kind of looking me up and down and saying, couldn't you handle it? And then me almost falling out the car, feeling like I was on drugs. Obviously I got this... Well, the positive thing was I didn't even realise I was having a smear test on diazepam.
Good.
But I mean, I just think, imagine if I was, like you said, Kay, a survivor of sexual abuse, and I wasn't, and I'd gone to the doctor. That is terrible. And I've been treated like that.
Yeah.
I just think could really re-traumatise people. And I very much doubt much training will be given to nurses about sex.
But even the language, Sarah, what, couldn't you handle it?
Exactly. Yeah.
Ouch. That language is quite accusatory, condescending,
horrible.
Suggests that you are less than.
That's
because
right.
you were over-medicated.
Yeah.
Come on. I mean, if they would allow us to self-medicate before, I know what my choice would be. And it wouldn't be diazepam. But I would probably be okay to have it. But the idea that the medication is somehow your fault, that you couldn't handle it?
It was an older black male doctor as well.
No!
Yeah.
Okay, that makes it worse.
Yeah.
No, seriously, that makes it worse for me because I was thinking, is it, the idea that black women feel less pain,
Mm.
particularly when women are pregnant or in gynae areas. I was going to go there, but clearly not.
No.
He's a black man saying to a black woman,
Right.
what, you can't handle it?
Can't handle it.
Well,
So then-
not if you over medicate me. No.
Exactly.
Blimey.
Yeah, I know. That's quite an experience, ladies, with that smear. But my smear is due and I will be going. So, yes.
Excellent.
Interesting. Did you make any complaints about that, Sarah?
I didn't at the time. I think I was so... I have such a mind-bending kind of stress when it comes to that letter comes with a post saying your smear is due. I didn't, Karen. I think I kind of accepted that he was a right idiot doctor. I accepted that the nurse was probably seeing way too many people and stressed out and just forgot my name. And I just thought, I just thought this is the NHS, and it sounds awful, but that's what I thought. I thought, at least as long as I can get this smear done, then that's all I cared about. But in reflection, looking back at what each person said in that whole journey, would I want my daughter to have that experience? Definitely not. It's terrible.
Yeah, that was bad. And I guess that will put some people off from going back again.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I wonder what statistics say about the amount of women who don't turn up, don't get checked regularly. I don't know. I have to perhaps look that up. But the lady I was talking about, the listener who prompted me to talk about this topic, said that she finds that black women are particularly bad at getting checked for all sorts of things. And this is just one of the things we talked about. So I guess the moral of this story, ladies, is get checked. Check yourselves, go for your smears, go for your MOTs, do make time for your appointments. It's really, really important. And if you have a bad experience, I think complain about it. Yeah, I know it's sort of time consuming and stuff, but I think it's important. Your experience was really, really unacceptable, and that, that's not on. So, yeah.
So, Karen, I just had a quick glance at the NHS website, and if you're under 25, you won't be invited for a cervical smear test. If
That's
you're
right.
over 25, you will be. But I do wonder if that applies to women who are virgins or not sexually active. It doesn't say on their website.
Right.
What is your understanding? Is it that just women who are sexually active and over 25 get invited?
I thought it was anyone. I thought it was any woman.
Yeah, it's anyone, Kay. Because when I had my one, they said there's different types of, what do they call it? The implement that they use in order to open the cervix.
The speculum.
Yes, but they said there's different ones. They said there's the virgin one, and then there's like the massive one, basically. You can choose because that's one of the things they said you want to choose anyway. Yeah, they
don't always use a speculum.
Really?
What?
No. That's my experience. I've not always had to have a speculum.
I would.
What do you have? A Q-tip?
You got to have one. I've no choice.
No. I've had them without. So yeah,
Really?
just putting it out there. Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to say that next time I go. I'll say my friend didn't have speculum, so there.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, I didn't. Yeah, that's right.
Well, I'm impressed.
That's really good, Karen. That gives me hope because I think part of the anxiety for me isn't so much actually taking the sample; it's the speculum.
Yeah.
Coming in there and seeing it.
Yeah,
it makes me very anxious.
So request to not have it.
Okay. Yes. Cool. We need to know that.
All right. And while I'm on this website, it might be useful to share. See a GP if you have the following symptoms and are worried, and they are symptoms of cervical cancer, bleeding between periods, during or after sex, which is where my idea came from that virgins don't need to be screened, or after you've been through the menopause, or if you have an unusual vaginal discharge. So, yeah, it's so many reasons to go, even if you have none of those symptoms, but as a routine, do go. And the breast cancer one, because we've all admitted we don't check regularly enough, apart from Sarah, sorry. Karen and I don't check regularly enough. It's not just lumps you're checking for. You're also looking for any irritation or dimpling of the breast skin. a redness or flaky skin in the nipple area or on the breast, pulling in off the nipple. I think that means an inverted nipple where the nipple
Yeah.
goes in, or pain in the nipple area, and the thickening or swelling of part of the breast. So, Karen, I guess we have more to look for than just a lump.
Just enough. Okay.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah.
I didn't know.
Yeah. Or, of course, if you have a discharge from the nipple or blood, any change in the size of your breast or pain, these are all reasons to get a professional to check you over. So lots to look forward to, lots to look for.
Yes.
When
True.
you're doing your monthly checks or your weekly checks.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that.
So has that encouraged you, Karen, to respond to the invitation and go get checked?
Do you know, I think we should do, ladies, I think we should remind each other when we're next out, say, oh, have you done your check? I think we should have a little check-in. If I'm
And
reminded.
if you say no, how do you want me to hold you accountable if you say no? I haven't gone.
No, to be fair, I think now that I know you're both going to be checking in on me, I'm more likely to.
Why wouldn't you go, Karen? Why wouldn't you go in the first place?
It's just time. It's just literally, honestly, if something was wrong with my children, I'd be the first one there. I honestly, I would have made an appointment, immediately. But for myself, I go, oh, I'll do that. And then I just don't do it. It's almost as if I just don't put myself first. So unless, I'm completely broken and I can't get out of bed, I just put myself on the back burner. I guess it's that mum thing, isn't it, for some people, that we put our children first and we're just on the back burner. I shall now start putting myself on the front.
It's a terrible idea, Karen, because your girls will not thank you.
I know.
If you have a disease untreated. I've worked with children in bereavement who've lost parents to the disease. They would rather anything. So make the time.
I do need
so that your girls have you into your old age.
That's true. And even things like, I don't know, I find it difficult to prioritize myself. I just kind of hope for the best, because then it'll be work. I don't want to take time off work. And I think, well, work can wait. But I think, it's if I'm not there, the whole system's going to crumble. I've not gone into
it. Work will send a wreath to your funeral. My brother got lots of wreaths from work, but he's replaceable and he has been replaced. Work will always be there. We say in Jamaica, you can't done work. Work will done you.
That's true. I'm telling you.
Right.
Yeah, so, that's true. Absolutely. And your brother's not replaceable, not by you.
Not by me, but certainly from a work perspective.
I understand. I do. Yeah, I understand.
Yeah.
It's true. It's crazy. And I really do need to. And I also think, because I don't like my nurse practitioner very much, I hope she's not listening.
I hope she is listening.
She's not very personable. And that also puts me off, because I think when you have a good rapport, at least, with the person that you're having your MOTs with, it helps. Yeah, but that aside, I need to put that aside, and I really do need to go. So I'm going to. I'll make the appointment.
Sarah, shall we book in a bottomless brunch or a pub lunch or some cocktails for Karen after her smell? Give her a little incentive.
Definitely. Yes, I definitely think it's so important to go, I mean, as much as, and you both said really good points, as much as it's inconvenient, uncomfortable, etc., we just got to do it. We just got to do it for our kids. If anything, not for ourselves, for our kids. If we're refusing to do it for ourselves. I mean, but I'm quite good. Like, I have my eye tests and stuff like that. And I tend to do it when Naya's due, I go with her and have mine done too.
Oh my gosh, we haven't had an eye test for, I don't know, years.
I have to, though, because my glasses,
really?
I have to.
I don't wear glasses. So.
Okay, right.
I wear glasses.
Same here.
Okay.
My reading, I have to. I noticed that I'm holding things further and further and further and further away. And my eyes are getting sore and sore and sorer. And I'm just thinking, no, I need my sight. So, yeah, when she goes, I go. So the only thing I'm actually not great at is going for a dental checkup. I'm not.
Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness.
I haven't been for I was pregnant. I went.
Yeah.
Bad at that.
I am all over that. I have private dental. I see my hygienist twice a year and my dentist twice a year.
That's really good.
My biggest fear in old age is bad teeth.
Mm.
I can't do bad teeth. So therefore, I can't. Yeah, I'm very precious about my teeth, even more so than my hair. Very precious about my teeth. So I do go. But Karen and Sarah, I want to say as well, we all have daughters, so maybe modeling for them. Good self-care includes us going for our exams,
Well,
for
the
all
thing
our
is,
screening.
I mean, like I say, so Portia's just had braces put on, bless her.
Mhm.
And I am on that. You know, like we've had several appointments since. If she feels the slightest bit of pain, I'm on the phone.
Of course.
That's what I'm saying. So for my kids, I am just like on it. I am a Rottweiler. But it's just not for myself. So hopefully my children will continue that because that's what they're used to. We've always, kept every appointment, both of my girls wear glasses. I'm at opticians, all that sort of stuff, regular dentist appointments. We don't have, any of those problems. But it's just me. Yeah, I will sort myself out. It's not good.
Good. Glad to hear it. There will be wine after.
Okay, well
Or
that's
some
the incentive.
kind of beverage.
All right. Alcoholic beverage, preferably. Then.
Oh, but must. And I will check in on you in 2 weeks.
Okay, thank you.
Talking of alcoholic beverage, actually, there's a woman I used to work with. I remember when she used to have her smear test, she used to take the afternoon off work and she used to go and drink half a bottle of wine. And she used to
Really?
go she used to drink half a bottle of wine before the smear. And she used to go in there and say to the nurse practitioner, I've drunk 2 glasses because this is a horrible experience. And, I'm not driving back. But I had 2 full glasses of wine.
Oh, wow.
She had no problems with her smear test. I'm thinking, is that even an option? I don't know.
Well, there's got to be. You were given diazepam, so there's got to be something to help us get through the process. It won't affect the outcome.
True. She was honest. Like, I've drunk two glasses. Yeah, I'm ready for the smear.
There we go. Help yourself there, Karen. A little self-medicating. In fact, I will self-medicate for my next one because why not?
Why not? Anyway, so that brings us to the end of another episode, ladies.
Yes. So, Karen, I know you're not yet ready to take over the announcement. Yeah, you can laugh. In telling our listeners how to get in touch with us. So, Sarah, would you please tell our listeners how to get in touch?
Okay, so we're on Instagram, Beautifully Melanated Podcast, and our email is beautifullymelanatedpodcast@gmail.com. And we're also on YouTube, Beautifully Melanated Podcast on YouTube as well. So you can get hold of us any of those 3 ways. That's our details. Please do feel free to message us with any kind of things you think about that have kind of touched you in the episode, any kind of thoughts or feelings or ideas. We're more than welcome to listen. So thank you.
Absolutely brilliant. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, listeners. And do check out our episode on yoni steaming if you would like to give yourself a little treat. See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
We are beautifully